Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Catherine Kelly, and I want to talk a little bit today about the importance of sitting with your soul. Now, I chose this background, this tree background, on purpose because there is a concept that's been floating around for about a decade that's called forest bathing. And really, the concept of forest bathing is to be able to be more mindful and intentional and much more present when you are in the woods so that you can actually take the energy of the woods and also go within much more to the point where you really kind of access that inner wisdom, that you basically convene with the trees so that you can actually access what it is inside of you that needs to be heard. And so it's a similar concept to sitting with the soul, as far as I'm concerned. And those of you who follow me know that I'm obsessed with trees. I love trees. Every model probably that I'll ever create has a tree in it or leaves in it. And it's just one of those things where I thought this would be appropriate for us to talk about sitting with the soul. Now, when I go into the woods, very much what I do is I try to absorb. I didn't even know I was doing forest bathing until the concept came out. But I try to absorb the energies. And, there's a certain place in the Redwood National Park that I like to go and sit. And it's way down in this grove that it's called one of the ancient groves, and it's a 5 mile hike. You can only basically get there by invitation or by reservation only. You have to reserve it to be able to hike this trail. And it's about a 5 mile trail, but when you go down to the base of this grove, it's just beautiful. And there's not very many people down there. So you really get to take in the energy and the sounds and the smells and just the essence of these trees. And there's this one tree, and it's kind of off the track. So I have to admit I kind of break the rules sometimes, but it's a little bit off. That now they don't tell you not to walk down there, but it's basically people do stay on the trail. But I get off the trail to go into this tree because on the back side of one of these gigantic redwood trees, if you climb up about 3.5 feet, there's like this shelf that basically is formed by the roots. So very much kind of like these roots right here, but it's really flat on the backside of this tree. And I discovered this, I think the second time I was in this particular park. And I climb up on that and I lean up against the tree and I lose myself. And the last time I did that, I lost time. I was out there, I was down there for probably about 2.5 hours before I opened my eyes. I was not sleeping, but I opened my eyes and I was just, so embraced by the energy of those trees. But I was also very centered and very grounded in myself. And I was having all of this awareness and all of these insights. And so I want to talk to you a little bit about how to practice this in everyday life without having to go to the National Redwood or the Redwood National Park or to basically sit for 2.5 hours. Because you can accomplish this in literally 30 seconds, a minute, however much time you need to check in with yourself. And so the main part of it is basically to get yourself quiet enough that you get the monkey mind out of your head, that you kind of get the emotions put off to the side long enough to just go into that depth of who you are. Now, keep in mind that our heads can lead us wrong, our emotions can lead us wrong, but that soul power, that soul wisdom never, ever, ever leads us wrong. It always gives us the information that we need in order to get us through a day, get us through a decision, get us through a very tough time. But how often do we pause long enough to sit with our soul to get that wisdom? Not very often, unless you're kind of obsessed with doing it like I am, so that I can get myself through days and get myself through stressful events even easier. So my first suggestion is basically to get yourself out of the fray, get yourself out of the noise, TVs, radios, phones, put your phone somewhere else. I prefer encouraging people to go sit outside until you get the hang of this, because really anything that's inside is going to take your attention. So, whether it's an alarm going off, whether it is the refrigerator ice machine that is cranking out ice, so whatever it is, you kind of want modern technology away from you so that you can get this very much practiced. And really, if you stand outside, it's just fine. If you walk outside, if you have a place to sit, those things are kind of wonderful too. But really, it's all about grounding yourself, getting yourself very, very grounded in the moment so that you can access that information very quickly. Now, it takes some practice to do this, but one of the first things I encourage people to do is, if you're going to sit or if you're going to stand, close your eyes and then imagine a rod, an invisible rod coming up through your spine, going all the way up to source, and then going all the way down your spine, through your tailbone, all the way down to the center of the earth. And just sense that energy, sense that really amazing anchoring energy that you feel when you're feeling so anchored in source all the way through your body, all the way down to the middle of the earth. And first of all, just sense that energy, just sense what it feels like to be anchored in that way. And I tell people, just stand or sit with that for just a few moments. And what I try to encourage people to think about is that the soul has no particular place in the body in which it resides. However, however, it's really everywhere in our body. But however, if you focus behind the belly button and go inward a few inches and just focus on that as the core of who you are. So, sort of the nucleus of who you are as a human being, but there's an energetic center there. There's an energetic center. It's not one of the chakras, it's actually deeper than that. But it's basically the nucleus of who you are. And if you focus in through that belly button area, go to the core of who you are, about 3 inches in, there's like this energy center there. And again, you can't go extract it. You can't find that place in the body, but you can sense that place in the body. And it's where that gut reaction comes from. And that gut reaction is what tells us, oh, I shouldn't be doing this, or wow, I really feel like I need to do this. So it's providing wisdom in a very quick way. But if you close your eyes and you focus on that rod, just anchoring you, go within about 2 or 3 inches to the core of who you are, and just breathe in and breathe out, breathe in and breathe out a few times. Open or closed mouth, it doesn't matter. And then ask yourself, what does my soul need today? It is as simple as that. All you have to do is ask, what does my soul need today? But getting out of your head to hear a question, being answered, but going in within that gut reaction to say, gosh, what is my gut telling me I need today? It could be that you're feeling very overwhelmed, very stressed, very anxious about something. And then basically that gut reaction, that voice that answers, what does my soul need today, will help you get through whatever that is. So you can break it down into a very small, what does my soul need right in this moment? Or you can ask, what does my soul need this week? What does my soul need this month? In some cases, what does my soul need this year? So if you're setting a theme for the year, but really it's a matter of anchoring yourself long enough to just start tuning the dial, to start hearing that inner voice of yours. Sitting with your soul is the most magnificent thing you can ever do for yourself, but it is also, it's a luscious energy. And when I teach people through various different kinds of ways that I get people down anchored in their souls, when I get people to that point, it is often the case that they start crying or they tear up. They don't know why. But the reason that they do that is, I believe, it's because we miss contact with our soul. It's like an old friend. It's like a connection that needs to be made energetically. And once that connection is made with tuning into that wisdom within us, then basically what happens is we feel a rush of emotion and sentimentality because it's like, oh, there it is. And I also call that the sweet spot of the soul. Because when we can get into that space where we're just tuning in and listening and extracting the wisdom, listening to the wisdom, to me, that is the sweet spot, because not only do you feel more relaxed, you feel a kind of a little bit of a heated energy, you feel an expansion, you feel like your awareness is much more clear, you feel so much is happening for you that it's such an important part of us is sitting with that soul to gain the wisdom that we need to have. Now, like I said, our heads can lead us wrong, our hearts can lead us wrong, but that soul wisdom, that soul, that gut reaction, that information that comes from that level never ever leads us wrong. We just forget to stop and use it. We forget to stop and sit with it. Now, again, you don't actually have to be sitting. You can be standing in front of your kitchen sink. You can be sitting in your car. You can be standing in a grocery store line. You can be in the middle of a meeting. And if you know that you have to get an answer, a gut level answer of wisdom to you, that's all you have to do is just sit with that long enough to tune in. And I know it sounds easier said than done, and it does take practice because we have so much static in our brains and we have so much emotion a lot of times that we can't get down to that deeper level. But to me, once you practice this, it's touching base with that energetic core of who you are and knowing that the wisdom is there. Now, trusting it is another thing, and that's why it takes time to trust that wisdom and get into that space that you know that you are going to be able to listen to it, follow through with it, and then watch what happens. So it's super important to just practice this. And again, I would encourage going out into some woods. Another thing that can ground you is to literally go stand by a tree, put your hand on the tree, close your eyes, let that energy of the tree take you down into the earth and up into source, up into the sky, and just help ground you in some ways. But trees are magnificent partners in helping us sit with our soul. So, whether you go out today to sit with a tree or walk through the woods, learn how to tune into that space within you. And that is going to be a priceless tool that you use for the rest of your life. So I hope this was helpful. It's a different kind of post this month for the newsletter, but I just wanted to give you a little guidance or at least a reminder to go sit with your soul for a little while. Thank you so much, and I will be back soon. Love and light to all of you. Bye-bye.